People, deluded, I'm back again. Arsenal 3, Everton 2. The main thing is 3 points. Obviously, I believe, without looking at the table, I've just got home, people, from the game. I believe we're 7 points or so off top 4. Me personally, I think top 4 personally is a job too difficult for us right now, but it doesn't matter what my opinion thinks. The players and the manager, Arteta, believes in getting that, and they've got it. And if they, all we can do is put pressure on other teams. Like, again, we're not in the Champions League spots right now, but Spurs and Chelsea, one of them lost yesterday. You see it? United won. Obviously, you've got to keep pace with these sort of sides. I purposely didn't say 5th. We all know 5th looks up for grabs, pending what's going on with City. And we've got the Europa League. Main thing is we came from behind. Being at the game, I will praise our players because we'll get onto the goals we conceded. But I didn't say that was necessarily going to win the game, but I felt we could score goals even when we conceded a goal within the first minute, people. And obviously it's another W. There's now two W's on the spin against Newcastle and Everton. Obviously in the Europa League we won as well. So in terms of momentum, it's 3 wins on the run. We've got West Ham on Saturday, next Saturday. Obviously we've got the second leg against Olympiacos on Thursday. I believe the FA Cup is after that. So we need to put momentum in, and it's a tough ask. Going into the game, I will say Arteta gave me some surprises. I thought Torreira would start, but again, Ceballos and Granit Xhaka, respectively, since Ceballos has come into the team, been doing his thing. Xhaka, since, you know, the whole fan stuff, you know, that stuff that happened a few months ago, been put to bed, been one of the best players for us and most consistent, and someone the team look to. Maybe you don't always see what Xhaka brings, but you can see why Arteta plays him, sort of thing. Eddie got another start in the Premier League ahead of Lacazette, whose form's been woeful generally this season, but he's got 2 goals in recent games himself. Might feel a bit hard done by. Mesut Ozil stayed in the side. Bellerin kept his space. Kolasinac lost his space. Bukayo Saka, came on, but he obviously lost his space for Kolasinac. And I can see why some people might feel this sort of way with Saka not necessarily starting the game, because I get it as well. Because for me, like you see, he's one of the first names on the team sheet for what he brings to the table. But at the same time, them and they are young. We're not always seeing what they're doing week in, week out. And obviously, when you're young, you can play games. You want to play games. I do think clubs take it a bit too far with all this fitness stuff. But he's 18, him and Martinelli, they've played a lot of football. What we don't want to do is, again, I'm no physio, but cause some injury as a result of damage from overplaying and things. So we need to take them out the side when we can. And prior to Kolasinac's injury, he was alright in defence. Mustafi's name, sadly, if you type it into YouTube, you'll see Mustafi mistakes and things like that. But if he was a new signing that came to Arsenal this season, he'd be being praised as a centre-half. And he was a colossus at the back for me today. David Luiz reacted well. So yeah, man, it threw up a couple of surprises. Going into the game, what can I say, people? We have, when you consider this game against Everton and our 2 previous games, we have started slowly in games. And we've been saying for weeks, if we start slowly against Everton, they will punish us. Lo and behold, literally in the first couple of moments, from a dead ball situation, Calvert-Lewin eventually scores. Now that goal, or the 2 goals we've conceded, yeah, we came from behind and we won and we got over the line, and there's several positives. But I'm sure when Arteta gets the boys back in training on Monday or whatever, or when the boys speak in the dressing room or do whatever they need to do in terms of analysis, they won't be happy with the goals we've conceded. Both Richarlison later on and Calvert-Lewin scored today. We know with the way Everton's been playing, 4-4-2, them strikers there, they're going to be at it. And we know set pieces, they know how to score from that. And we've been generally a decent side by Arsenal standards since Arteta's taken over, a good side defensively. So that will be disappointing, because we should have been, that goal we conceded, or the 2 goals we conceded, that's what the sort of situation we've probably been working on all week to avoid. Saying that, when we went a goal behind, I did think we was going to score. I wouldn't necessarily, we took about 20 minutes in my opinion to fully wake up. But Everton, when they conceded, they didn't really do nothing really and truly. They were trying to play the balls into the channels against Bellerin, and he found it a bit tough. But I felt we was getting forward. We needed that extra bit of quality, but I felt we were the strongest team is subjective, but I don't feel we was necessarily threatened beyond the occasional counter-attacking effort from Everton when they initially took the lead. We just needed to break the lines. We needed to up it a bit more. In the first half, obviously you saw Eddie go close. You saw obviously see Eddie go close. You saw Bellerin had an effort. There was a couple of half chances, and we did well to get back in the game and get us and get an equaliser. People, who even scored the first goal? Eddie Nketiah. Saka at that point came on the field. We know typically our source of our goals or how we play as a side is down the left hand side. Whether that's because obviously Aubameyang popped up with two goals today himself. But obviously he plays on the left. Martinelli and Saka's been playing well at left fullback, and he got his 10th or whatever assist in all comps. He plays a lovely ball. Eddie, who I was impressed with him today personally. People called for a bit more for Eddie in terms of general play. I think he put himself around and he deserved his goal. At that period, that was the first real bit of quality, a real quality ball. And if I haven't said, I did think Pickford looked a bit nervous when they went 1-0 up, playing up from the back. But anyways, it was a lovely ball from Saka. Eddie Nketiah does what he's been doing at youth level, and it's a classic Nketiah goal when he's even scored a goal. It's the movement. You don't see him until it's too late, and it's nice for him. He's got another start. Never scored in his last Premier League start. Forgive me if I'm wrong. He didn't score against Newcastle, but he's got his start now, and he's putting pressure on Lacazette, and that's healthy for everybody. He gets his goal. It's 1-1 at this moment in time, and when we get that, we get the bit between our teeth. Like I said, we look decent. We need to up it. We needed to up it before the goal, but we look like we could play football here, people. Do you see what I'm saying? Because Everton, if you looked at it, I actually feel, don't get it twisted, they did tactically, what they did or worked on was working, because they played Iwobi. They were 4-4-2 at time. Well, they were 4-4-2, but they sat. Obviously, you had the two strikers pressing from the front. Iwobi kind of played narrow on the right-hand side, and I believe the guy on the left, I can't remember who it was, but from where I was sitting, whoever it was, done the same thing, and it was working. They played Leighton Baines. Obviously, a lot of that is to try and nullify any threat with Pepe potentially and Bellerin on the overlap, who Bellerin I felt could have had a better game. But we've got the bit between our teeth. I felt, from where I was sitting, I'm going to watch the goal again, people, because a lot of people have been saying no mistake and this guy and that guy. I think it's collectively because we missed the first and second balls. But David Luiz, I felt, reacted from his mistake. I felt Mustafi, if I've bigged him up already, Mustafi, like I said, bad boy today. But I think David Luiz reacted from the goal we've conceded. It's a lovely ball from him, obviously, to play into Aubameyang, and it's a classic Thierry Henry. I don't want to make the comparison, but it does remind you of Thierry Henry, the way he puts it in. It's 2-1, and we're doing our thing. And like I said, we've upped it. I felt Ozil put on the clinic in the second half, but in the first, we're starting to up it. If I forgot to praise Xhaka for Xhaka's involvement in what led to Saka getting the assist for Eddie Nketiah as well, people. So forgive me for that. But to be 2-1 ahead, I did think we'd get goals, and obviously we're disappointed to score and concede in the context as we did. But we need to manage the game a bit better. We failed to start the game good enough, really, and it was a crazy sort of 10 minutes in particular being at the game. But it is what it is. The way we conceded that goal was sad as well, people. Another dead ball situation, essentially, for Richarlison to score. And at that time, it's an absolute villain sort of thing, Carl. I have to watch the game again, but obviously I'm an Arsenal fan, and when I'm sitting, I thought he should have been sent off, people. I would love Richarlison in my team, Carl. I'll be honest, I like that sort of stuff for my players, innit? But Richarlison, I felt he should have been sent off. But it's classic villain stuff. And again, we've let ourselves down for another dead ball situation, really and truly. Like I said, we've probably worked on Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison specifically all week. Calvert-Lewin got his 11th goal of the season against us. Or his 12th, sorry. He had 11 prior. Don't know how much Richarlison had. But for me, to concede a goal within the opening, literally moments of the game, and to be a few minutes before half-time, given that we actually scored goals and got ourselves back into the game in the first half, rather than, I don't want to bash Emery because he's irrelevant to this club, but under Emery, or even at times under Wenger, we'll be losing 1-0. We know, people, this is going into half-time. We might, 60th minute, we're crying for subs, and we might score a late goal or snatch a 2-1 at the end. But we've got ourselves back in it early. Players have woken up, forgiven themselves for the mistake. There were some obviously nervy moments in the first half. There will be a couple efforts. There were some chances, like I said, Everton should have done better. There were I like that everybody was mashing work defensively. I was impressed with Pepe today as well, in particular in that regards, even more. But there was a couple times our defending wasn't convincing and it was a bit booky. Like even Saka, I think he changed the game in a sense because obviously he got the assist. But second half, I felt he was a bit sloppy with his pass. He's a young man, no scapegoating thing. Saka's a bad boy footballer, but you have to call things what they are. Not seen enough from Bellerin, if I'm completely honest with you. I'm not saying you always have to dive in, but I couldn't understand at times. He's just backing off and backing off. And at times, even our defence people, we was allowing people to just dribble past and you know, look like they could fashion a shot on Leno. And like I said, Everton had a couple of opportunities, but we let ourselves down conceding the opening goal and to concede the equaliser in this couple of moments before half time. For me, I'm looking at it, we need a big second half. People need to wake up, because I do think we can score goals. But obviously, we're not looking like we can't keep a clean sheet, but we're not putting the same rigid sort of defensive performance that we've been playing in. And not even that, it just looks like Everton, it just feels like a game where Everton can snatch a goal. It just feels like both teams to a degree can score. So we need to up it. And we kind of did what Everton did to us in the first half. We scored very early in the second half. Credit to Pepe for setting up Aubameyang. Aubameyang had a good game defensively as well today, in my opinion. And he gets his second goal heading it in, people. And like I said, we've got ourselves back in the game. At this point, I'm like, alright, cool. We've conceded 2 sloppy goals. We'll forgive ourselves for it happens, but let's see out the game. And I will say we finished the game decent, but there were a couple of heart-in-mouth moments. I haven't got all the specific ones to mind, but I'm purposely not trying to look at these notes, people. But Leno made a couple of saves. Definitely was a chance, or a couple of chances Everton striker Calvert-Lewin should have put home. There was a couple of other half chances and heart-in-mouth Arsenal moments from us. Like to see, I did think Arteta, I'm not going to lie, was taking a bit long with the subs, people. But when he did make the subs, it did look like I saw the tactical change. I'll speak about them in my tactical review whenever I can be asked to make it, people. But in the second half, there was a willingness to try and manage the game, especially from what I saw with David Luiz vocally, Mustafi vocally, and Xhaka, man, really and truly. There was a moment, though, I'm not going to lie, Mustafi never put a foot wrong, and Leno redeemed himself if he did make a mistake. But there was one moment, people, it's funny now, but I was looking, I think Mustafi or Leno, one of them either made a save or a big clearance, one of them, and it's like they're fist pumping each other, and the ball hasn't gone off, people, on the left-hand side. Like, my man on the other team's got it. I'm like, yo, why you lot? Deal with this first, people. But either way, we did what we needed to do. Listen, go back to the drawing board for the 2 goals, because the goals we conceded, and in terms of managing games, we could have done better. Actually finishing off chances, we need to do better. But other than that, I think we had a decent game. We looked like we could score goals. We reacted from being a goal down and kept a cool head. Obviously, big up to Aubameyang for getting his goals. Saka for the assist. Pepe deserved his assist, and he looked sharp today. Good for Eddie and Ketia. Mustafi, we give and take, man. We gave him a lot of stick, rightly so, because he wasn't putting in the performances. Right now, he's putting in the performances, and this is what Arteta saw from early, because right now he's putting in the performances. But do you remember just when he was getting in the team, we was all like, yo, why ain't Holding playing, or why ain't this playing, or Socrates is back from his injury, why ain't he in? Now, we have to say, yo, this is what Arteta saw the vision from early, and I'm encouraged about Arteta. I'm not going to say we're going to get top 4 and we're going to win this and we're going to do that, but for me, it is very refreshing just seeing what a manager wants to do and it being backed up on the pitch. Dani Ceballos, for me, had a very good game. I felt Ozil put on a clinic, if I haven't said it, in the second half. Them two connect well together. I feel Ceballos and Xhaka work very well together as well, because it's like Xhaka peels off and looks after Saka's position. Saka goes up. Xhaka does his thing when the ball comes. But I guess we've still got Ceballos doing what Xhaka was doing, that he's receiving the ball off the centre half and being the base. And they switched roles at that. And it was very interesting seeing what Arteta's doing week in, week out. Like I said, the main thing I keep reiterating in this video is that we need to probably fix up in terms of the 2 goals we conceded. There were 2 Everton goals you probably expected to not want to concede going into the game. But it is what it is. In terms of my notes, let me see if I've got anything, people, that I haven't managed. Like I said, we looked good on the break. Our game plan obviously initially went out the window. When we obviously conceded, Mustafi in the 9th minute saved Bellerin's blushes. I've already mentioned before we took the lead, we had some half chances. Yeah, there isn't much really, man. In general, looking at it without emotions, I feel it was a decent game in sorts for the neutrals. Again, Arsenal let themselves down for the goal we conceded. I don't want to keep sitting there and sounding like that typical Arsenal fan, what refereeing decisions. Like there was one Sidibe thing. Sidibe just went down and it was not a free kick, and he got it off the ref. Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm off to watch the game again. But the most vital thing is 3 points. We go marching on. We've got West Ham on next Saturday, and before that, we've got the Europa League to finish off. Another 90 minutes. The tie is not over. There's a lot of football to be played, but it's what it is, man. On reflection, I can watch match of the day. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I'm done with the waffling. On that note, people, it's always a pleasure. Deluded, I'm out.